afternoon to the audience as well. And I hope that you all are safe and appropriately fine at your homes. And if you are working, then at your workplaces as well. So today we have Advocate Rajeshwari Hariharan with us. Ma'am has been practicing since 1993 and she is an advocate and partner at Rajeshwari and Associates. Her practice area includes cyber laws, contracts and legal documentations, intellectual property laws, and international commercial and contract disputes. She has her own law firm that specializes in intellectual property law. So, we have a question for you, ma'am.
Yes,
We got a question from the audiences that how to tackle cyber security issues in startups. So, if you can put light on that thing, ma'am.
sure. So, startups are really vulnerable when it comes to cybersecurity, and that's probably the reason why there's a lot of cybersecurity issues with startups. First of all, let's understand what is cybersecurity. So, first, there is a cyber attack, which is an illegal, unauthorized online intrusion into your digital footprint, into your digital border. So, like we have our physical borders at home, we have digital borders at workplace, everywhere around us. So, any illegal intrusion into that would be a cyber attack. And cyber security is a measure which you take, are precautions, a whole set of precautions which you take in order to ensure that there are no such cyber attacks and you can safely keep your data, the information, and all the material that you have, digital information, digital documents, digital evidence, very safely and securely. So, this is what is cybersecurity. And startups actually face a lot of problems because they are anyway on shoestring budget. So, cybersecurity is often the last thing that they think of. So therefore what happens is, since they are ill equipped or probably not having sufficient knowledge about cyber security, there are often cyber attacks. And when an attack happens, that is when they take remedial measures. Then they start thinking, oh well, I should now have very stringent protocols and perhaps I should have some very stringent measures. So cybersecurity is really a very big concern, for startups. And startups must have some measures because startups are the ones who are actually getting all the data. They are the ones who are actually developing data. They are developing information, inventions, products. They are the hub of innovations. So if there are attacks, cyber attacks in startups, it's a matter of concern. There could be attacks by way of a virus, by way of a malware, by way of a Trojan, by way of a, password cracking, or just data theft. All of these will come under cyber attacks, and for which a person needs to take, appropriate measures.
So, ma'am, among all the things that you have discussed or all the cyber attacks, what is the biggest cybersecurity threats right now for the businesses?
The biggest cybersecurity threat, according to me, is now the data theft. We have, we don't realize, but we have data all over us, all around us. We have data in our computers, we have data in all our devices. We are using now cell phones, we are using other devices, for working. So all the devices that we use, each and every device, if you look at it very carefully, will have a lot of data pertaining to the company, and all of those devices need to be secured. So when we talk about data theft, or when we talk about cyber attacks, the biggest problem really is of data, of securing data and ensuring that data is properly secured. So guarding your digital borders is of prime importance in the current scenario, And for startups, this is a very important issue, because startups are often, in holding data of third parties, not just their data but even of third parties. There's so much of data that you handle. So your data, for example, could be your own list of employees. That's fine. Now you have a list of customers. That's also fine. Then you have data of the customers which you are handling. So suppose you are a, Uber or a Oyo hotel. There's a lot of information which third parties give you, and you are handling that data. So it is a very big onus on you to ensure that you have appropriate cybersecurity measures, so that you can guard those digital borders and ensure that there is no breach of data, through such cyber attacks.
Right. So, ma'am, one question was asked to us, and I would like to ask that question to you because you have an experience knowledge in that field. So, ma'am, one question that was asked was, do I need cybersecurity insurance? Is our cybersecurity insurance policy appropriate to our risks? Ma'am, if you could answer.
So I really wish in India that we have cybersecurity insurance. As yet, I don't think we have any cybersecurity insurance in India, but it is most desirable that, our company, our insurance companies, and everyone should think of cybersecurity insurance, because if there is a data breach in some way or the other, then you will be liable, and you just will not have funds to deal with it. You can't believe it, but in 2020 alone, the data breach costed companies over $2 million. And each minute, or rather each day of loss of data, costed them some eight to $9,000. So it's a huge amount. So when we are talking of data breach, it's a very important aspect that we must consider. So I really wish we do have cyber security insurance, but I don't think in the current scenario we have such a thing. But what can be done is to insure your devices, insure your workplace, insure your other systems, so that can act as a cyber security. Though it will not be a real solution for you, but that will be a stopgap arrangement until we actually have proper cyber security insurance.
Okay, so ma'am, we have seen that IT sector is moving very fastly and it's growing very fastly. So, what are some compliances that every company should take so that they can ensure IT security moving forward?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and I would like to answer that. So, what is the data that we have which we are looking to secure? We are looking at customer data, we are looking at our own data, and we are looking at third party data. So that is data that you need to secure. And secondly, which you need to secure is all the materials that you have, the digital documents and evidence. Because today a lot of materials are stored only digitally. So if you file your GST returns, they are all stored digitally. It's available, accessible digitally. So you have to ensure that there are no attacks, hackers who are trying to hack it, or emails which are hacked, or passwords which are hacked or leaked. So often it happens that there is an ex-employee, and probably he is aware of your cybersecurity sort of vulnerabilities, and using those vulnerabilities, he might just try to take advantage of that. And there's some oftentimes we find that there is a password which is broken or hacked, and a whole lot of emails are deleted or data is accessed. So for these purposes, we do need to have cybersecurity measures. And being despite being a startup or a smaller company, I'm not saying a day one startup, but even as a small company, you need to think of measures for cybersecurity right from day one. And these could be very simple measures. No one is asking for very complicated, firewall systems. but very simple measures, and those must be kept. And as a policy, you must follow it throughout, because obviously the company is not going to remain as a one man company forever. So you must have first a cyber security policy in place, quite like you have a employee policy and HR policy and others. You must have a cyber security policy in place. What should the cyber security policy do? The cyber security policy should have a data security plan. How are you going to secure the data? Only those people who actually have a need to access the data must be given access. Otherwise, we randomly, I'll give you an example. It's very common for all of us. Oh, there is a document which I need. So we simply say, all right, I'm sending it to you by WhatsApp. Here it is. And that, what I'm not saying WhatsApp is not the way to communicate, or it's a wrong thing to do. Perhaps at the time of urgency, that's probably what you will do. You'll just take a photo of something, some document somebody wants very quickly. So you simply, instead of scanning and going through that formal story, you just take a photo of that document and then just email it, and then just WhatsApp the document to him, or just send it to him through Instagram or one of the social Facebook or whatever. So this is not the appropriate thing to do, because by doing this, you are actually breaching the data. You're just acting very casually, and this happens all the time in companies, that you just send documents, huge documents, documents on documents. It may be an interview paper, it may be it may be agreements, it may be contracts. You just say, oh, here is what I received from so and so, and then you just WhatsApp it to him. So you don't know to whom he is going to send it. It is not secured, it is not password locked. You have just sent it open, free, and we are casual about it. So therefore, we need to make sure that you need to be conscious actually to what is the data that you are giving. That agreement which you are giving, is it confidential? If it is so, then you should only give it to that person who actually needs to know about it. And ideally, it should be password protected. And this can happen if you send it through email. It takes only a few minutes. After all, your computer is almost always these days, next to you. So one should take the trouble perhaps of sending it through the computer, because that's a formal email communication. WhatsApp is a WhatsApp. It's a social thing which you use. It's a casual conversation. So tomorrow, if there is a problem, where you need to take the documents and you need to show it in the court of law, you can't just say, oh, I received a WhatsApp message. So it's not formal enough. So first you must have a policy. In the policy, you must define who will have access to what data, and you must give access only to that person who actually needs to know about it. Don't just give access randomly to anyone and everyone. Anyone in your office is able to access my computer. Anyone in my office is able to access my emails. Anyone in my office is able to access any computer, anything. This shouldn't be the case. Second thing is, you should formalize communications. You should make it very clear in the office that you cannot send documents randomly through WhatsApp and other social media. It's not allowed. It's not encouraged at all. You should never encourage that. And secondly, you should also make very few digital copies. By sending it through WhatsApp, through all these social media platforms, you are creating n number of copies, and therefore you are exposing yourself to greater risk. So therefore, you must have as few digital copies as possible. And then you must have a proper network policy, that there will be a network, all the computers will be connected by a network, and we will have probably the following antivirus softwares installed. Firewalls, you must have firewalls not only for your computers but also for your devices. Which are the devices which are being used, And all the devices of the company should also be secured and insured. You can't have a device, say, a person has a personal cell phone which he is using, and there's a lot of data which he will be receiving because of company will send him WhatsApp, people from the company will send him documents, all of that gets stored on his device. So that needs to be properly taken care of. Either you need to monitor it on a weekly, monthly, or some kind of a periodic basis, and then perhaps clean it or remove it, or transfer the information to some other proper device, or somehow secure it. It is not good enough to say, oh, on the cell phone I have a firewall, so I'm good enough. No, all that data should be gathered and kept in one place, and everyone should know, okay, this data is in this place. So it's quite good housekeeping measures. So those kind of policies, those kind of uh, plans need to be implemented, considering a long term situation. You can't look at it as a short term, that today we are just three people, so we don't need it. We'll see when we are 15, we'll see when we are 500. By that time, it will be too late. Sometimes there will be, incidents of data breach, small incidents that will happen, and you must, so the entire team must report it, must look at that incident, what was that incident, how did it happen, and take course corrective measures, and then bring it into your policy, into your cybersecurity policy, that in order to avoid this, we should now have the following measures. And then learn not only from your past experience but from future as well, what others have done. Because it's not necessary that you should experience a cyber attack and thereafter start responding to it. You should take proactive measures and ensure that, well, we now have a policy, all my devices are secured, data is secured, all my emails are secured. I'm not going to share this even within the office, it's going to be restricted. I'm not going to share it publicly with everyone. I'm going to restrict my communications. I'm not going to do random communications on WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter. Say that I sent him a tweet, I sent him a message on Facebook. Why did he not see it? That's not the way a company should operate.
Correct.
One day somebody, the vendor has sent you an email, but you respond to him in a tweet or a WhatsApp message. That whole chain should be maintained. Says there has to be, it has to be there has to be a sacrosanct way of maintaining the whole thing. It may sound a little too hard, it may sound a little too cumbersome, but it is necessary to take those steps. And then this cyber security policy must be monitored on a long term basis. Every frequently it must be monitored. Are we doing the right thing? Are we on track with regard to the cyber security policy? Never allow it to be stagnant. There are sometimes, I'll give you examples, like now you have all these coaching institutes who have gone online, and so they have videos, they have lots of materials, books, papers, everything, which everything has now gone digital. Suddenly everything has gone digital, so they are finding it quite difficult, because they were never in the digital environment, they were always in physical borders. So the digital environment is first of all new. Of course, now with the in the last 1.5 years, they have adapted to it, and now they've gone digital, and have they have taken measures. But then their old habits die hard, and as I said, they still keep communicating over WhatsApp, sending messages, sending videos over WhatsApp. Then they complain that, look, my student has circulated the video to so and so. Yes, of course he will do it. You should take measures so that people don't access it at all. So that's what I meant to say, that you must have a proper comprehensive cybersecurity policy where all these aspects are taken into account, where all of these things are securely, properly, fully addressed, and you keep monitoring your policy from time to time to ensure that it is never stagnant, so that it is always updated. If there are newer measures which are coming up in the market, people are doing something new, then perhaps it is time for you to adapt to it. because if you don't adapt, then there will be issues. So it's very important for you to adapt to the new measures.
Correct. I totally agree with everything you said. We all have these things in front of us, but we never bother to take care of these things.
That's true. We never bother to take care unless there is an incident. It never occurs to us that we should take some care.
Correct. So, yeah, ma'am, these were the all questions that we have to ask you. Thank you so much for addressing all the questions so beautifully. I hope everyone who has asked this question got the answer to the questions. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.